vital to them.
Bit of Houghton both wayage there.
Yeah.
Ken Seo 163 metres, Thomas Mins 8 tackles and 112 metres. He's been the surprise package of my dream team, I would say, Thomas Mins.
Right.
And Dane Tills 153 metres, 3 successful offloads.
Who remembers Dane Tills? Jesus Christ. I thought he'd just disappeared off the face of the planet. Exactly. Hey, you don't care because you don't watch Game of Thrones, do you? The guy who's Yarp out of Hot Fuzz is the Hound in Game of Thrones.
Oh, I've heard of the Hound.
Yes, well, that's Yarp.
Yarp.
That's the guy.
For Huddersfield, Ryan Braley had a try and a try assist, 99 metres, 16 metres per carry for him, but that was largely as a result of that one long breakaway try, but still it was impressive nonetheless until the pointless sidestep. He also had a try ruled out for offside that was very touch and go, but marginally does look on the replay in front of the kicker, Jamie Ellis.
Doesn't say to me that he's had the ball in his hand an awful lot if he's averaging 16 metres per carry but only makes 99 metres.
The point of this, the problem with the Opta stats is it has carries, but it doesn't have touches.
I see. Okay.
So you would want to see his passing touches stats as well as his carries
before
stats.
you can make a judgment on that.
So he's probably just got the ball, made a step sideways either way and ferried it on. A lot of times, like a first receiver or a second receiver generally would do, especially when you've got a strike weapon like the next one on the list in your fullback position. Jake Connor, he got a try, 6 tackle balls, 141 metres, 3 successful offloads. His try has an asterisk next to it because that was the penalty try.
Right. Now I haven't seen this. Can you talk us through it?
I'll do it in a second when we get to the reviews, because that's about that, the only review we got. Sam Rapira 126 metres, Leroy Kudrow 125 metres, round out the top performers for Huddersfield on the numbers.
Okay, so to fan reviews then, John Davison got in touch. He said Ben Thaler tried his very best to help Huddersfield win with the most bizarre penalty try ever seen, in his opinion. Tell us about the penalty try, Mark.
So, Jake Connor was tackled just short of the line but had a bionic arm come out over the top.
Right, okay.
Was preparing to put it down when another Hull KR defender, so the second Hull KR defender, I think maybe the third because he might have bounced one off, comes in, it's Mitch Allgood, comes in from the side, kind of slides across, gets his hands over Jake Connor's sort of shoulders, upper body area, his leg knee area swings around, takes the ball out of Jake Connor's hand as he was potentially going to put it down, and a penalty try was awarded for kicking the ball out of the player's hand. Now we know that is an offence because do you remember the infamous Billy Slater situation from the World Cup, and then his repeated attempts to do that were penalised for years afterwards.
Yes.
But I'm not sure it was intentional in any way that what happened here. So I think there's a harshness there. But he did make contact with the ball carrying arm / ball with his lower leg area that prevented the try. So if that in itself makes it a penalty, whether there doesn't have to be the intent to do that.
Right.
But I would suggest, there's a loose carry argument.
Possibly so at that point.
I think if it happened anywhere else on the field, it would have been given as a loose carry rather than as a penalty, and that means that it's a bit weird, like John says, bizarre to give a penalty try for it, especially as you couldn't really tell that Connor was actually going to score. He still had to
ground the ball,
get the ball down, and he was reaching from quite a distance away. When he reached out, it was amazing that he got even close to the line. But yeah, if kicking the ball out, even accidentally, when the ball could be put down for a try in an alternate reality, is an offence, then it's a correct decision. But it did seem a little bit harsh because it seemed kind of incidental and accidental to the challenge.
There you go. Speaking of alternative realities, I learnt about Mandela Theory this week. Have you heard of this?
No.
Very briefly, Mandela Theory came about, because there was a clairvoyant in America at some big clairvoyancy conference, Comic-Con type thing for clairvoyance. She's about to go on stage. She's backstage with her colleagues, and for some reason Nelson Mandela comes up and she says, "Isn't it wonderful what Nelson Mandela was able to achieve? It's such a shame he died in prison." And one of her other colleagues says, "Well, he didn't die in prison. He was released in 1991." But because this woman was utterly convinced that Nelson Mandela had died in prison, rather than admit to this being her mistake, because she's a clairvoyant, she has crafted this theory that because she was convinced that Nelson Mandela died in prison, that she's actually just tuned into an alternative reality where in fact Nelson Mandela died in prison, and she's expanded this theory to account for when people commonly misspell words, that in those alternative realities, things like dilemma, we're misspelling them because there's an alternative reality where dilemma is spelled differently. Regional accents, things like that, are all accounted for by people being in tune with alternative realities, rather than just being a bit daft and not knowing that Nelson Mandela had been released from prison 25 years previously.
Wow.
Mandela Theory.
There you
So
go.
now if you make a mistake at work, or do anything, you've not made a mistake, you're just
Tuned into an alternate
you're just tuned
reality,
into different realities, and we're all many parts of the same string.
Wonderful.
Okay, carry on.
No, you.
Oh, it's me to carry on, isn't it? I've allowed myself to be sidetracked. Right. Okay. Well, Dennis Betts might have been praying for a bit of Mandela Theory this week. He's Widnes side were defeated away by 12 points to 10 against St Helens, who win for the second week on the trot, playing Wilkin and Turner in the halves. Mark Percival's penalty was the difference between these two teams in the end, in a scrappy affair at Langtree Park, Mark.
I don't know a lot about this one. I've seen the tries.
Heard what I know about this one.
I've seen the tries and I've looked at the numbers, but because there was not much to look at, with only both sides scoring 2 tries each, I believe there was a disallowed try for obstruction.
Right.
That was I can't remember if it was Hanbury who went in or Hanbury who put Runciman in, but effectively very close to the line. The ball player ran behind another man, then there was an obstruction. It was an obstruction. Good to see it called. And ultimately that helped with St Helens in this one, because in a close game the numbers actually suggest Widnes were a little bit better at attacking, but a little poorer at execution, and maybe they let one slip away here. They had an extra clean break, but 7 more successful offloads, 0.6 metres per carry better average gain for 155 more metres. But then Widnes also had 2 more errors and conceded 2 more penalties. So I sort of think that evens out that what you would have expected from those numbers is a 1-score win for the Widnes Vikings. But the errors and the penalties in a tight one obviously have swung it back the other way. And you have to credit some grit out of St Helens. And this was the best attended game of the round as well. These two sides are only marginally further apart from each other geographically than the whole sides, though. They're the second closest 2 sides to each other in the competition.
Wow.
Yeah.
Widnes and St Helens?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
Maybe the third closest.
I thought it was you and St Helens.
No, we're Wigan and St Helens' grounds are further apart from each other
than St Helens and Widnes.
I'm pretty sure that's the case.
That's insane.
So that helps, obviously, for the bigger crowd.
Yeah.
For a game that...
Well, on a Friday night, that's great, isn't it?
That didn't have masses riding for it. So, yeah, good effort by both sets of fans.
Fantastic.
But
individually.
now, it does keep Saints alive a little bit for the top 4 in the extra home game. And it also means that Widnes still have a fraction of concern. But individually, Alex Walmsley, 163 metres. James Roby, 44 tackles, 156 metres, and Kyle Amor, 129 metres. That's Saints' probably strongest 3 players. Someone who isn't regarded as such is Jack Owens. He had 143 metres. He
keen to impress against his old side.
Exactly. Yes, someone who has impressed quite a lot for Widnes this year is Corey Thompson. He grabbed another try, 5 tackles, 143 metres. Patrick Arvan on the other wing had a try on 124 metres.
Better than Ryan Hull. It's official.
Reece Hanbury out the back there, he had 172 metres, 3 successful offloads, and the relentless
you've got a bit of
he has been my...
You've got a bit of a thing going for Heb Cahill, haven't you?
He got 47 tackles, 10 of which were marker tackles, and he got close to 100 metres as well. What my thing for Heb Cahill is he is my dream team man of steel. He is my dream team player of the year.
Really?
Yeah, in terms of price per points, this guy has been outstanding.
Glenn Stewart's been mine.
He probably costs more though than Heb Cahill.
No, I'm not saying that he doesn't cost more, but he has certainly accrued the most points for me, with Kyle Amor not being far behind. Right, Fan reviews then.
Yeah, it's good that we had a few for this game because obviously we need to fill in the gaps, unfortunately.
Yeah, a little bit. Dart's got in touch. Good to hear from you, fella. A few good performances by Alex, Roby and Percy, but with our best organisers and wingers out, just happy with a win. Jay Green got in touch and said mixed emotions tonight, thought we played okay. Gareth Hewer didn't have the best game, but we can't blame the refs. Saints conceded about 20 points on average a week. Widnes should have executed better, but we kept them to 12, which is a positive, and we are surely safe. Sai got in touch, this is new on me, and just says that Gareth Hewer is utter shit.
Let's assume he's a...
I'm assuming he's a
Widnes fan based on the result and the previous more detailed review.
Yes.
Sai, what we prefer, we appreciate you getting in touch, is once you've made that point, embellish a little bit.
Yeah, tell us why, man.
Yeah, because we weren't at the game, obviously, and we've not seen extensive highlights of it. We'd like to understand what decisions in particular were problematic or what aspects of the game Gareth Hewer let himself down on.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul,
can I talk about these new officials, the new breed, that are doing all these games, and we keep talking about them, and everyone keeps talking about them positively, just because you hate them less, because your team's lost less games under them yet.
Well, people are starting to criticise them now, though.
Yeah. But the point I'm going to make is critical of them, and it's related to what we talked about right at the top of the show about the intensity of and excitement of Super League, or the intensity and entertainment value of Super League this year. I think one of the things that's hindered it is these guys letting a lot more ruck infringements go, like you see in the Championship, that slower ruck play, rather than forcing these far fitter, far more capable athletes to get themselves up off the floor quicker, as they should be doing at this level.
Yeah.
And I think that's been one of the hindrances on the entertainment factor of the actual games as they go along. There's been a lot of games where I've felt like there's a lot of mucking around at the ruck, and not controlling it by good technique, but mucking around.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I think it's definitely an issue. What I would say in mitigation to that is that it's almost something that we're forced to just have to cope with while these young referees get up to speed. And actually, the reason that we're going through this process is sort of twofold. We've lost several referees for various reasons over the last few years, some quite tragically so, some going to work in the NRL, some just stepping away from the game altogether. So that's left a vacuum that's needed to be filled, and unfortunately what we've got to fill that vacuum is this dirt.
Some getting a bit aggro-y in a Newcastle City Centre.
Exactly, yeah. Others, some people, allegedly not being able to keep their hands to themselves. But that's a big talent vacuum that we've lost, and there's been some experience come out of the game. But I think the RFL to a point have been maybe not slow to react, but the way in which refereeing has been encouraged and funded within the RFL, I would be interested to hear the thoughts of people like Paul O'Brien and what have you, because it seems to me like there hasn't necessarily been that rush to kind of develop the next lot of referees, and all of a sudden the RFL's been found with its pants down a little bit in terms of 3, 4, 5 referees suddenly disappear from top flight rugby league, and oh shit, how are we going to replace these guys? And now what we've got are these young lads who are inexperienced coming in, and of course these old pros know how to slow the game down, how to muck about a little bit, but we'll start to see some improvement, and I think it's just something that we're going to have to tolerate for a year to 18 months to let these guys get up to speed
Super League games and get about and understand the more intensive review process on those games.
Precisely.
Okay.
We're going to come to a game in a minute where a young referee shows an enormous amount of bottle, so it's just something that...
We've clarified that he's older than me, James Charles, so he's not that young.
He's more, but now he's one of our more experienced referees, and he's developing and showing a bit more. But let's get to that in a minute. But that's my take on the refereeing side of things.
Oh, I'm not criticising the general consistency.
No, I don't. No, I know you're not.
They are consistently allowing slower play of the balls, which is unfortunate.
I'm just illustrating why that might be happening at the moment. Okay, Paul Ludo Lewis, speaking of which, he said, very stop-start game, not helped by indiscipline on both teams, and the most whistle-happy ref in Super League. I get fed up of going to games, though, and losing by a few points and thinking we could have won that. Finally, an appeal to my fellow Widnes fans, please stop with the Iceland football hand clap. It's cringy and something that Wire would do. I think they tried to do it.
That's something that links into the next game too.
I think they tried to do it at Bradford at the weekend. It's not quite as effective with 12 people, to be perfectly honest. So but apparently it's not. The Icelanders didn't invent it.
No,
apparently it's German football ultras.
No, I heard it. I heard it was first done by Motherwell fans.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy smoke! So almost.
Or Hibernian fans, maybe, but
Almost.
some Scottish
Right.
team.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so over to the DW Stadium then, and despite contriving to give Wakefield every possible advantage in terms of numbers, it was Wigan Warriors 22, Wakefield Trinity Wildcats 18, a patched up Wigan side with a lot of people